So guys, getting back into Batman the Outsiders, this is the final issue, alright? The final issue of this entire series is written by Brian Hill, and I'll say something, I've been loving this series. It's been a great series seeing Batman, Black Lightning. Black Lightning's a great character, he's showcased well in this series. Also Cassandra Cain, who is a great Batgirl, and I just really like her characteristics in this series. We also had Duke, we actually had new character Sophia, and also we had pretty much Lady Shiva show up, and have that whole rivalry between Lady Shiva and Cassandra Cain, then them ending up working together. But last issue we saw Ra's al Ghul just get defeated. Because the entire series, Ra's al Ghul has been the main villain, guys, and last issue Black Lightning defeated him. And Black Lightning now has this whole thing that Batman told him. Batman's like, hey, once you run into Ra's al Ghul and you establish a rivalry, things will never be the same. And we see in this final issue that Black Lightning starts experiencing that a little bit. And we see everything, this pretty much like an epilogue, where everybody's gonna go, how Batman deals with that, how the whole Outsiders just gets broken up. Pretty much Outsiders no more. Like that, it's literally in the cover page, it's in the cover, it says that, and I can agree with that, right? But yeah, guys, we're gonna dive into this. If you want to hear all my thoughts on this series and this whole final issue, then stay tuned for the end of the video. But I want to get to explain this, alright? Because this is a great issue. So, without further ado, let's dive into Batman the Outsiders, number 17. We start in north of Gotham City, and Katana says, Rajin. And she says this as Black Lightning is just looking out into a field. And Katana continues, going to join the rest of us? Bruce wants to show off. He's in a good mood today. And Black Lightning says, he should be. We won. And Katana says, you don't look like you've won. And that's when Black Lightning, or Jefferson, he says, I'm lost, Tatsu. I don't know what I should be. I don't even know what I want. And Katana says, assuming you're supposed to know what you want is a very difficult way to live. Desire gains clarity with time, not worry. And she says, come, you'll have enough time for solitude soon enough. Now, we see that Katana and Black Lightning, they walk out, and we see that Bruce has pretty much bought Sophia a ranch, right? And Katana tells Black Lightning this. Bruce bought her a ranch, horses, and Black Lightning's like, does she even want horses? And Katana's like, she's happy. And Jefferson says, I was sure he was going to convince her to work with him in Gotham. And Katana says, to our mutual surprise, he actually gave her a choice. But we're not far from Gotham, and what better way to keep someone near than by giving them a place to live close to you. Bruce Wayne is a man who always knows what he wants. I don't think that makes him better than you, Rajin. Now, that's when we see Sophia, she's talking to Bruce. She's like, you're just giving this to me. I know how to take care of horses. Then Bruce says, your father told me you love them. He said he wished he could give you a place like this. He never asked Batman to do that for him. He didn't know Batman was Bruce Wayne. I'll have people to come help you with the land, and they'll be safe here. You have my word. And Sophia says, you're not going to pressure me to keep being a superhero, right? And Bruce says, if I pressure you, then there's no point to it, right? That's when Sophia says, you think I'm going to come back to you? Not you, the other you. And Bruce says, I think you have the ability to help a lot of people, to save lives, to stand in the way of the madness. But we can talk about that later. Let's get the grill going. Now, that's when we see them go inside. We see Lady Shiva, she's cutting lemons, right? And she says, Duke, sugar, not too much. And Duke looks, and Lady Shiva says, why are you yellow? And Duke says, what do you mean, Shiva? And Shiva says, your suit is yellow. Was that your choice? And Duke says, it's supposed to be a daylight symbol, you know? Like, even when the sun's out, you know people like Batman are here to protect you. And Shiva says, and Bruce thought yellow was the best way to do that? I won't judge. I would have tried perhaps a dark red. The Flash is red. He works in the daylight. And then Duke says, can we let it go? And Shiva says, already gone, young man. And Duke says, I can feel the light again, but I can still feel the shadow too. And Shiva says, and this disturbs you. And Duke says, I don't like being changed by metahuman psychopaths. And Shiva says, the source of a gift doesn't always control the nature of the gift. Light needs shadow. Shadow needs light. To think each is separate from the other is to suffer from a narrow view. There are things I would like to teach you, Duke, Thomas, and I had the opportunity. If I left you a way to contact him, I wonder if you would have the courage to do it. That's when we see Black Lightning. He's at the table. We see all the Outsiders at the table just enjoying a meal. And Black Lightning says, I guess when you're Bruce, you take the family moments when you can get him. When he looks happy, I don't know if he's actually happy, or he's just pretending to be to make us feel better. That's when Jefferson goes by Duke. He's like, going for a walk, I'll be back. And Duke says, cast me a cake. And then Black Lightning, aka Jefferson says, have mine for me. And then he says, to make us feel like we belong, like we're part of his world. And Bruce says, Jeff, everything okay? And Jefferson says, yep, just taking advantage of the clear air. Now Bruce looks and he knows something is wrong. But Jefferson knows this as well. He says, I can't pretend like he can, but I'm glad he's letting me get away with this one. Then he gets out and looks to the sunset. He says, how do I go back after this? Teach school. Pretend I'm not what I know, what I've seen. Whoever goes back to that isn't the same person who left it. Bruce warned me. He said Raj Al Ghul would change me. He has. Then we see Tatsu come by. She says, what is the expression? Paying for your thoughts? And Jefferson says, you sure you're a samurai or are you a ninja? You're pretty good at sneaking up on people. I'm neither, Rajan. There's no reward for me. And you haven't told me what you're thinking. That's what Jefferson says. I'm thinking about the future. Imagining what I could be, what I should be, what I can do. Do I want more, Tatsu? And we see Black Lightning and John Stewart, aka the Green Lantern, teaming up. Now, that's when we see Black Lightning and Wonder Woman teaming up, and Jefferson continues. Standing among the gods, back to back with the best of us. I never thought I would be that, until now. And we see Black Lightning teaming up with Superman. We see Jefferson continue and say, I don't know what I want. And Tatsu says, this, I know. And Jefferson says, don't start. And Tatsu says, the outsiders are our fish. Raj Al Ghul is back and shouts, Sophia is safe, happy. Heroic cause is a fine distraction from our innermost thoughts. But how our distractions have left us. And Jefferson says, and our thoughts are all we have. What's next for you? And Tatsu says, remember a journey into the realm of the sword? I still have the gift from our victory, the power. She pulls out the pretty much the soul sword, and Jefferson says, you didn't tell me. And Tatsu says, nothing to tell. My burden to carry, my fire to master. That is where I am going, to obtain this power. Come with me, Rajan. It'd be nice to have a friend on the path. And that's what she finishes with, help me master my nature, and perhaps you will discover your own. Now we shift to Bruce walking into the room of Cassandra Cain. He says, knock knock, the door is open. May I come in? And Cassandra says, just read, sure. And Bruce says, Cassandra, do you know why I never asked if you wanted to be a Batgirl or a Robin? And Cassandra says, Bruce, that doesn't matter. And Bruce says, yes it does. Your mother thinks I don't respect you enough. That I don't trust you like I trusted Barbara and the boys. I need you to know that's not true. I wanted to let you find yourself the way I did, but you're not like me. At what you are, you're better than I could be. You deserve more than the extension of my creation. And that's what he says, I know you won't be orphaned forever. You might not be in Gotham forever. Whoever you become, you have more than my trust, Cassandra. You have my faith. Now, Cassandra jumps out of her bed and hugs Bruce. It's a very powerful moment and one of the best moments between these two characters. Now, that's when we see Sophia. She has a nightmare. And she wakes up. And that's when we see Shiva. She says, bad dream. And she says, Bruce and I finished tea downstairs. I heard you from down the hall. I know a little about nightmares. Want to talk about it? And Sophia says, aren't you a master assassin with a long line of dead bodies to prove it? Everyone was pretty clear that I should trust you. No offense. And Shiva says, none taken. Trusting me and being honest with me aren't quite the same thing. Sophia, I'll leave you alone. And then Sophia says, wait. And Sophia says, the good thing about talking to the devil is you can tell them anything and they won't freak out. And Shiva says, I'm not the devil. I just know his ways. And no, little girl, you can't freak me out. And that's when Sophia says, I keep dreaming about my father's killer, Ishmael. All that fear that turned into anger. Bruce is giving me peace. I should want peace. And Shiva says, but you want war. And Sophia says, I want revenge. And that's what Shiva says, Ishmael is dead by Raj Al Ghul's hand. Your revenge was poetry. And Sophia says, that's not what I meant. How many Ishmaels are there in the world? And Shiva says, many. And that's when Sophia says, and most of them get away with it, don't they? And Shiva says, many do. And that's when Shiva says, work with Bruce. He'll train you, give you one of his names. Then he'll aim you at the men you speak of in this world. And Sophia says, Batman doesn't kill. He puts them in jail, gets them committed. But I don't think that's going to make these dreams go away. And Shiva says, and you want more than his justice. And that's what Sophia says, Raj Al Ghul took whatever life I was supposed to have and shattered in my parents' blood. I told you, I want revenge. And Shiva says, let me be honest, young Sophia. This farmhouse is for Bruce, to silence his guilt. You owe him nothing. What he wants from you is impossible, because what he offers will never satisfy you. Come with me. see what I have to offer. Now we see Bruce, he wakes up and he figures out that Shiva pretty much put in this tea, something to pretty much knock him out, put him to sleep. Now Bruce notices this, he runs out of the room, jumps off the stairs, lands, and he's like, "What you?" And Shiva says, "Everyone's fine, Bruce." And Bruce says, "You drugged me." And Shiva says, "We want you to sleep in. You needed sleep." And they wanted to be gone when you woke up. Pierce left with Tatsu. Duke and Cassandra are going back to Gotham. Cassandra needs to speak to someone named Stephanie Brown. They're all safe. "Stop looking at me like Batman have a pancake." And Bruce says, "And where's Sophia?" And Shiva says, "She is very grateful to you. She wanted me to make sure you knew that." And Bruce says, "Tell me where she..." And Shiva says, "No. She wanted me to make sure you would promise to leave her be. She believes I have the power to convince you." And Bruce says, "You don't." And Shiva says, "Then I will be more clear. If you come for her, you'll have to move me to do it. I'll make that difficult." And Bruce says, "You have no rights." And Shiva says, "You took my daughter. The least I could have is a girl you barely know." And Bruce says, "Is that what Sophia wanted?" And Shiva says, "You might even be happy with what she becomes. You sound hurt, Bruce." And she says, "By now you should realize that everything you've ever built always ends up hurting you." Now, that's when we see Bruce look out. And Shiva walks out of the farmhouse and sees Sophia. And Sophia says, "So how do you take the news?" And Shiva says, "All things considered, I think he took it well." And this issue ends. This entire series ends with Bruce and Chair just thinking about all of his thoughts about everything that has happened. So that was Batman the Outsiders number 17, the final issue in this entire series, guys. And I'll just say one thing. This entire series has been amazing. I've been really liking it, guys. The opening arc was a little, it was still solid, but it was kind of rushed a little bit, which I know why, because the whole Year of the Villain thing. But once we got past the first arc, it got really good, guys. See Ra's al Ghul plan out his whole scheme, try to attack all these different places, attack Tokyo. The art by Dexter Soy and different artists have been great throughout. But most of all, Brian Hill's writing of Cassandra Cain, Duke, Lady Shiva, Sophia, Black Lightning, Katana, and even Batman has been really well done. Mostly Cassandra Cain, Black Lightning. In this final issue, we see Black Lightning talk with Tatsu, Katana. Katana's been good throughout the series, but she's been more like a partner to Black Lightning, which I like. I like that. And I'm actually excited for maybe a book in the future where Katana and Black Lightning just team up. I would check that out, guys. I would review that on this series. Honestly, Black Lightning deserves his own comic book series. He's such a great character, and actually has a really good rogues gallery, and heck, he has his own show. Why does he not have his own comic book series? But still, he's great in this. I like how he just takes a breath of fresh air. He's thinking, how do I go back to be a teacher after finding out it's Ra's al Ghul? It goes through this whole dilemma, and it's written very well. Now guys, to Sophia, seeing Batman try to get Sophia to pretty much become a new hero in the Bat family, and she pretty much say, "No, Batman's not going to give the revenge that I want. I'll go my own way. I'll go Lady Shiva." I like that turn of events. And at the end, where Lady Shiva is with Batman, she's like, "Hey, everything you do always pretty much gets destroyed. Everything you try to make and every person you try to put into the Bat family, it doesn't end well." And to see Batman just think this through and see Lady Shiva leave with Sophia was really interesting end to the issue. Now guys, the other parts in the issue, I really like Cassandra Cain and Batman's whole scene. Guys, that scene was powerful. See Batman just walk in and tell Cassandra Cain "Hey, let me tell you why you're not a Batgirl or a Robin. It's because I want you to be more than just a bat, something of my extension." And he's like, "I have faith in you, of what you'll become." And see them hug and you see Cassandra Cain get a little emotional, he actually believes in me. I like that. That was really good. And guys, Cassandra Cain, she deserves her own series too. I told this to you guys, and actually just talk about this in every Batman the Outsiders video, that Cassandra Cain and Black Lightning deserves their own series ASAP. They're just really great characters. And maybe Katana. I don't think Katana deserves her own series, just because her whole thing is just a soul sword, which I don't think that can develop throughout an entire series. I think she should show up in the Black Lightning series. Now, Duke, the Signal, I don't think he should get his own series. He should show up in the Cassandra Cain series. See what I mean, guys? These certain side characters should show up in Cassandra Cain Black Lightning series, because I think Black Lightning and Cassandra Cain feel like they would fill in great lead roles, alright? It shows that here. Black Lightning has most of the issue, but that one scene between Cassandra Cain and Batman just is probably the best scene in the entire comic, alright? And one of the best scenes in the entire series. Now, the artwork, guys, it's not like Dexter Soy, it's not the best. but it's still pretty solid, and it hits at those emotional moments, alright? But yeah guys, overall I'm going to give the series finale a 9 out of 10, guys. I definitely recommend it. Check it out. And honestly, if you have not checked this series out, check it out, right? Especially if you're a fan of these characters in the series, alright? Because a lot of these characters do not show up in any other series. Actually, none of these characters show up in any other series other than Batman, right? Like, Batman's just added in there for marketing. But Black Lightning and Cassandra Cain, they don't show up anywhere else, and it's cool to see them here. But yeah guys, the comments below to know about this entire series you loved, you hate. What do you think about the series finale, issue number 17, and where do you think all these characters will go? Do you think Cassandra Cain and Black Lightning should get their own series? Do you think they will get their own series? I barely doubt it, but I hope they do, alright? But yeah guys, like the video, give a big thumbs up, and you should make subscribe to my next DC Comics review, whether it be Batman, Black Lightning, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, any type of DC Comics review, because I do those every week. So yeah, if you've been following the series and it's done now, try to jump on another series, alright? Because I really appreciate it. But yeah guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.